Hello, it says we're live, Bobbie, but I have like this paranoia that I have to go into the Facebook and make sure it's really there.
Okay. Well, you know, you and I are always alive. So
I know, right?
we're always live.
We are live and in charge. Okay, wait. Let me just scan this real quick. It's being slow. I'm not seeing it. Come on. Come on. Oh, wait. Posts. Maybe it's under a post. There we are. We're live. We're there. I did a training the other day. It was 41 minutes Facebook Live. And guess what? I had bumped my mic and it was on mute the whole time. Only I could do that and recover because, you know, you just have to move on. So welcome to Takagi Consulting, my business page. I'm Jennifer Takagi, and I am so honored that my friend and my mentor, Bobbie Casalino-Lewis, has joined us today. I work with new managers who really want to build their skills and step into their new role. And in the last year, many of us have been working from home. I've been working home for a while now, but many people are working at home for the first time. And they're finding that they're wearing sweats every day. They may not even put on shoes. And I talked to a friend a month ago, and it was just a casual conversation. We've never actually met in person. It's all been via Zoom. And I said, oh, I get up and do hair and makeup every day because I don't know who's going to want to Zoom with me. And even before we got into the world of video conferencing all day, every day, that's just my routine. That's just what I do. And I think there's something very powerful about actually being dressed and ready no matter what. Bobbie, you did a great job and did a whole series of videos on dress for the day you want. And I thought, what better person to do a Facebook Live with than Bobbie, because how we dress means a lot, and it means a lot to how we feel and the image we project. And I'll stop there because you're the professional in this. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's talk fashion. Let's talk about dressing for the day you want.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Well, let's go back to how we met.
Yes. It was so fun.
We eyeballed each other in a class that we were taking. What was it? Video Mastery, I think it was Video Mastery in the Inspired Living Group, Carrie Murphy's organization. And I saw Jennifer in the front row. I was a speaker that day, so I was sitting in the back. But I saw Jennifer in the front row, and I could even tell from the back her energy. I was like, okay, I want to know her, and I think I want to know her, but I definitely want to know her. So, and then it turns out once we went on break, after I spoke, Jennifer came charging to the back room. She goes, I need to know you. I said, well, you beat me to the punch. But
and I did. I mean, I just knew it. It was like, oh, there are like 3 people in this room of 80 that I'm going to collect. I love to collect people. And I was like, I have to collect her.
I do the same. You know, you just have that instinct about people, and it's all in the way they broadcast themselves. So the first thing, of course, we're visual creatures. So the first thing that you see is how they look. I mean, they're not even opening their mouth. They're not saying a word. And in truth, visual impressions are 50,000 times faster than anything you're ever going to say. Now think about that. In 7 to 15 seconds, your mind can capture the picture, process it, and make a decision. It goes back to our flight or fight days, you know, being cavemen, and, you know, is it going to eat me or am I going to eat it? So it's very much ingrained in our system, and we react very quickly. So you can't even tell sometimes, you know, when you've actually made a connection with someone, the visual connection with them, because you scanned them, because that's what you do. You know, your mind just scans them. So all these tiny little micro films and micro chips that our brain takes a picture of and puts it all together and says, oh yeah, that's somebody I want to know. And then they start to talk, and it always makes it so much easier because you've already made that connection with them. vice versa, if that visual connection, I keep wanting to say virtual, I don't know why, but if that,
we're in a virtual world.
I guess the visual virtual. But if, you don't make that connection, and even if they have something that is good to say, you're probably not going to tune in because you just have created that resistance. So, so Jennifer and I went on to actually work virtually over a great distance in a snowstorm to put her looks together, her outfits together, including going to a store, which we found online that had the item, the color that, we were looking for, to put together. So all of her media and branding is in the outfits that we put together for her It Factor shoot and recording. So, it's just amazing how it flows. So, when we were first looking at the clothes that you were thinking of using for the photo shoot and the video shoot, it was mostly black and white. And I got to know you and asking questions. And I go, black and white doesn't suit you.
And I'm in black again today.
Yeah, you've got the metallic. You've got the metallic around the edge, and you've got some, red lip on. So, you have to, what you wrap yourself in needs to enhance and speak to who you are. I mean, you're electric and vibrant and funny, and take no prisoners. So your look needs to be able to speak to that. And we netted out on a beautiful deep teal, remember? But it had some faux leather inserts to it and a really good shape and structure for you. So that was that spoke to it. So the color spoke to your fun aspects. The structure of it spoke to your leadership capabilities. And the reflection upward, showed off your fun and your electric side of you, so that, you weren't coming down. The outfit was bringing the, eyes up, because you always want the eyes to come up. In particular, now that we're on these types of mediums, you definitely want people looking in your eyes, although people sometimes can't find the camera, but you need to be looking in people's eyes.
Well, I love that. People can't find the camera. I was trying to do something one day and I had either my phone or my iPad, and I had my finger going around it like, where is that? Oh, wait. Okay. So there's where I need to be. And on the whole visual piece, that people just, I think they don't really understand the importance of the visual. So I do a lot of communication training, and everybody thinks it's what you say. And in reality, if you are either in person or even in a virtual setting where you can see each other, the visual things that you're communicating, the air that you're giving off, the image you want to project is over 50% of the communication. So if somebody sees me walk out on stage and they're put off in whatever way by what I have on, or maybe it's too flamboyant and maybe they're so distracted, watching, sleeves or something, that they can't hear my words, like I've lost them. They're just lost in the audience. So the percentages go visual, then vocal, how you sound. Are you gruff? Are you hateful? Are you snarky? Are you upbeat? Are you open? Are you, is there some levity? And then lastly, only 7% of your communication is actually tied to the words you speak. So I love that we can connect our businesses so easily, because it does matter. And this friend, going back a little bit, that I've only met online, we do virtual happy hours. And it's only because it's happy hour time. We don't ever drink, although we should, but we don't. She said, oh, by the way, on our last call, you made the comment that you're dressed and ready every day for whatever, whether you have to go out or you're on a Zoom call. And she said, I took that to heart. And today I had an opportunity to join a Zoom that I would have never been on. And I would have said, sorry, guys, can't do it. I'm not ready. For some of her clients are so sick of reading emails all day, she did a short video and sent a short video over. And so, getting up and getting ready matters. And let me also back up one here on Facebook. If anybody is in our Facebook watching live, at the top of the post, it should say how to leave a comment, because I can't see the Facebook and the StreamYard at the same time. So if you'll click accept so we can see your name, post your comments if you're on there live. So what are a couple of tips that you would tell somebody in this new, well, it's not even new anymore, but in this virtual world? Some organizations are back full-time permanent in the office. Some never left the office. And some are going forward, have a split setup between in the office and home. So if somebody decided today that they wanted to step into their big girl shoes, their big boy shoes, and dress differently and dress for the day they want, what does that look like? And what does dress for the day you want mean?
Yeah.
Lots of questions all at once.
Yeah. Well, let me address the dress for the day you want, what that means first, and how I began that. I did 49 days of videos, challenged myself. I started on April 4th, and I went forward from there. I stopped the day that the George Floyd incident happened, and because it just didn't feel it was the right tone to be, and I picked it up and did a few more after that, but then switched my modes later on. But the dress for the day you want was my journey basically through the initial days of being locked down and not understanding what was going on and not liking what was going on, and just falling and reeling back. So losing touch with who I was and how I wanted to be. So I have a closet full of clothes. Actually, I have several closets full of clothes. And
I've been there.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm still an East Coast girl, even though I live on the West Coast, and I switch my closets over. That means shoes, bags, everything, go off season goes into another closet. And I find that it keeps my wardrobe management sane. But dressing for the day you want, that takes you into that intentional part of it, and what you wear and has a twofold impact. It has an impact on you when you start out, and it has the impact on those who see you. So the impact that I was focusing on is how you could make yourself feel better, to get in touch with who you are that day. Were you hanging out in the backyard all day, or were you taking some walks, or were you, trying to do some business online? And the way I came to it was because I belong to the LAX Chamber of Commerce. I'm actually a co-host of one of the committees. It's called the Lifestyle Committee. So it's the group within the chamber that focuses on women in business. And we try to bring our own special little flair to that. And it turned out that I was the speaker on April 4th. And I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to set myself up in the living room. I didn't want to get the lights. I didn't feel it. And I tried every which way to get out of it, was coerced and convinced, that I needed to do it. And it turned out it was the very first Zoom meeting that the chamber did. So I did put on my big girl panties, and I got dressed for the day I wanted. I got dressed as if I was in front of a large room full of people at the chamber presenting. And because I started off my talk, and it was 10 wardrobe essentials and just helping people, kind of pull their looks together, I was able to see in their faces that they were just as intrepid about this new way of doing things as I was. So what happened was, after the call, I turned the camera on myself and I did a Facebook Live. I told the story. I didn't want to do it, but I did it, and it really went well. And it's all a testimony to dressing for the day you want, not the day you're given. And it was just such a turnaround. So every day thereafter, I dressed for the day I wanted and talked about another part on being vulnerable, another part of what I was going through. And lo and behold, I was speaking to thousands of people out there who were feeling the same way. I had men coming back to me saying, I did what you said, Bobbie. I dressed for the day I wanted. And it was such a shift for me that I realized I'd always known that what I do is important. But, you think about clothes, you think about fashion, you think about, I think my limiting belief for a long time was it's just too frivolous, and it's not that important. Well, guess what? I found out it is that important.
It is totally that important.
And through that time, looking back on the clients that I had helped, and they had gotten new jobs, relationships have changed. They, transitioned from one size to another. They transitioned from one career to another. They retired. They did any number of things. They went on vacations seamlessly because I completely wardrobed them and gave them a catalog to go away with. So clothes really do make a difference. So it starts with how you feel, who you are, how you wrap yourself, and what style you are, because fashion is what you wear. Style is who you are, and it's how you wear it. So you have to understand, and if you can't on your own, get help. Understand who you are style-wise. And then it makes the wardrobing so much easier. And, through this time, I've found that intention and mindset and putting on a garment. Like today, I'm wearing my red because it's a little cloudy outside. And I knew I was going to be on with a powerful leader and potentially talking to a bunch of powerful or yet to be powerful leaders. So red is my power color. It's my favorite color. A little bit of gold, just the kind of things that I wanted to keep the focus upwards. So that's totally something that you want to be able to do when you're in these little boxes, because, you could be on a screen with 20 other people, or I think the screen size is 25. I think it's 25 people in total. And you want to stand out. And it's interesting because I was on a call, was it yesterday? I guess yesterday. These days are long. Yesterday, where there was a sea of women, and I was watching them, and I watched their setup, I watched their look, I watched their demeanor, and I went, that one.
That's the one I want to talk to and play with.
Right. I chatted behind the scenes and I said, I love your demeanor. I really like to know you. And what ensued is a conversation. We're going to do what's it called? Clubhouse together and a podcast together. So, it just, I can't say enough to what it is. And the thing is that I also found that there are a lot of people, whether they will know it or not, or admit it or not, really don't want to be seen.
I know those people.
Yeah. They don't want to be seen.
No, not at all.
For whatever reason. So they wear colors that make them shrink, or they wear clothes that make them disappear, or they, don't put color on their face, or whatever it is they do to just so they can just sit back and they can just look, but they won't be seen. And I think it's such a shame because we're all put here with a special spark of brilliance, and we should be seen. We should be seen for that brilliance, but we should want to be seen.
Oh, absolutely.
Not be afraid of it.
And for people who want a promotion, who want to move up in their career, that image you portray matters. And there are some companies, like I went to see Zappo, the shoe company, super fun, cool, laid back. That's their company culture. Perfectly fine to show up in blue jeans and a Metallica t-shirt, because that's the employee they attract. That's the culture they're creating. If you dress like that and you went into a company that was an accounting firm, you absolutely would not fit in. It would not be appropriate. When I was very early in my career, my oldest sister is 8 years older. So she had been at it a while, and she gave me a great piece of advice. And she said, you need to dress so that you're wearing clothes similar to the next person's job, that level that you want. And I just got out of college. I didn't have any money. I couldn't buy clothes. So I went to Target, and every week I would buy a skirt and a blouse, or every payday. until I had enough clothes. And then I got a couple of, promotions and raises and was able to, buy real clothes, in my opinion.
Mhm.
But you look the part and you get the part.
Mhm.
Even if you're on Zoom. I had a friend say there was going to be a Zoom meeting. I was just going to be one and a C. And the next thing I know, they pulled me up on the panel. And she said, I didn't even have any makeup on. And now I keep a lipstick right next to my computer so I can at least add a little color if I need it. And I was like, yeah, I have one here. I have one right here
Mhm.
in case I need it. It's important. People, some people really embrace it. Some people really don't. And I think the message we're trying to get out is embrace it.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, I have a client that I worked with in this past year, a classic story. I just love telling this story. And I, will post the picture at some point, the before and after. But this is a gal that's in an all male industry. I relate to that because that's where I was for 40 years before I left the corporate world. And so she was in this all male industry in aeronautics, so metals, that kind of stuff. It's, really heavy duty inside of plants and, that kind of stuff. And she was being groomed to take over, as she said, her boss's position, which was a director, a general manager for, the whole Western division of this company. And he said to her, you have all the qualifications. He says, but you've got to go out and spend about $20,000 on clothes. He says, you don't look the part. And she didn't. When I got there, the day I got there, I looked at and head to toe, and I said, I love every single thing you have on, but not any of them go with each other. So
individually, you look amazing.
Yeah. And the transformation in her was absolutely amazing. So we got down to what her style was. So we brought in a feminine, a feminine version of, because he was wanting her, he was English and British, and he wanted her to go out and have some suits made. And I go, women in business don't make that. We don't do suits, we don't do custom suits, but we brought in some really good looking items with, pants. So pants and good structure and good form and color. We definitely brought color, so it kept the femininity. And the difference even in the way she was standing, when she was standing with the outfit that she had on when I first arrived, was one way. And then when we started putting things together, she started putting her shoulders back and lifting up and, projecting in a whole new way. Well, we put together some outfits because she had some really good pieces in her closet. So we put together some really good looks from what she had. And then we augmented that when we did a little bit of an online shopping trip and put all those pieces together so that everything went with everything. And even if she was in a rush one morning, she didn't even have to look. She could grab two pieces with her eyes closed, and she would still look fabulous. So we made it really easy for her. Well, when she went into the office, heads turned, and she was really on the line. She knows, I don't know if I'm going to get the position, then maybe they're just, dragging me along. Maybe it's just him that's saying this. So she met with the president of the company, the CEO, and, on the national scope. And 2 weeks after we put her whole new look together and dressed her for the meetings to go to for the discussion about this position, she is now in that position. And I don't think she would have stepped into it with as much confidence if she didn't look the part that she looks now.
You have to look the part. You have to act the part. There is a fabulous story. And at this moment, I'm not going to remember who wrote the book because I've listened to and read so many books of late. But this gentleman went into this bank pretty consistently, and this one teller always had on a suit and tie. It was a gentleman. He always had on a suit and tie. And the other tellers had on a dress shirt and slacks. And so one day the gentleman said, I'm just very curious. Why do you have on a suit and tie? And he said, well, I'm going to be the branch manager soon enough, and I need everybody to know that that's me. Mm-hmm. And so fast forward, a year or whatever, and here the young man is. He is now the branch manager and moving up because he was dressing for the position that he wanted, not the position that he had.
Mm-hmm. And he had the mindset. He was setting the intention, and he was broadcasting that. This is what I want. I mean, regardless of our gender, we don't often ask for what we want. I became the first female vice president in an all-male firm on Wall Street. We designed, manufactured, installed, and maintained trading rooms and the trading equipment that traders did all of the trading on. And I rose to vice president of project management. And it was a shot heard around the world. This was in the very early 1980s. And it was a shot heard around the world because all the women were like, oh my God. And there were so many people that said, how did you get that position? And I said, you know what? I asked for it. I set a timeline. I asked for it. I said, look, upon 6-month review, my predecessor was a vice president. I feel I should be considered for it as well. What are the criteria? And in 6 months, I want to review my performance and I want the position.
And they said,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I had nothing to lose. I had absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. So, so that's another part of it. I think if you get it in your head that you deserve that position, that is the leader who you are, that is the way you want to do, and that's the contribution you want to make. You dress for it in your way, your style, because you don't. I mean, obviously, that my predecessor had been a man. I wasn't going to dress like him.
No.
It never worked for me before. I wasn't going to start then. So, I still wore color. I still wore real quality pieces. And, when I walked in the room, you knew I was there for business. So you have to, and male or female, it's just once you put the puzzle together, it could be a little bit daunting. I'll admit, for some, could be a little daunting when you just look at it with like all the puzzle pieces are laying on the desk. You go, oh, how am I going to do this? But once you start putting the puzzle pieces together and you know who you are, you know what you want, you know what your style is, then you can start layering on and pulling it together. And then it becomes effortless. And when it's effortless is when you're in your true power.
And it makes a big difference to set the intention and decide what it's going to take. Because like I say, you go to work at Zappos, jeans and tennis shoes, it's going to get you a long way because that is their culture. If it's someplace else, that's not going to work. I was in mortgage banking. And again, my closet started being formed at Target. And then I got a raise, and then I went to a nicer store, and I did wear suits that were skirts and jackets, but I did have lots of color in the blouses and shoes, but everybody dressed that way. When I went to work for the federal government, those were the only clothes that I had going from corporate to government. So that's what I wore. And I'll never forget one day there was a guy that worked with me, same department. And he said, how old are you? And he was shocked because I was only 2 years older than he was. But since he came in his college clothes, in jeans and tennis shoes every day, and I came in a suit and hose and pumps because that was what you wore back in the day, everybody thought I was older. Everybody thought I was more mature. And it took a while to get into that management position, but I probably needed the time. I had been in management in corporate before. But you can be a leader whether you have a title or not. And it's just like the young man that was the teller at the bank. I'm sure he was quite the leader of the bank before he ever got the position. So you have to dress for where you want to go, where you want to be. It's part of that whole visioning the life and the career that you want.
Absolutely. Going back to my days as a VP, I didn't start out as a VP. I started out as a project manager and then a senior project manager and then a director and then a VP. But the department that I ran was 23 women.
Wow.
Okay? So being a woman on Wall Street in the early 80s and in telecommunications, which is really the industry that I was in, it was a good old boys club. I mean, Ma Bell was just starting to be broken up, divestiture, I'm definitely giving away my age, but so what? Anyway, so, but what happened was because I set the tone even when I was a project manager reporting up to other people, I always set the tone of how I dressed as how I wanted to be perceived. Because we worked with Morgan Stanley, Citibank, Smith, Barney, you name the brokerage house. And we worked with their CFOs and their chief operating officers, their trading room directors. I mean, we weren't down in the basement. We were up on the trading floors, which is their creme de la creme. And, you needed to make an impression. But what happened was, because I set a standard and kept setting that standard, the women that were attracted to the positions, we tried to hold on to men, but it just somehow, it was just a better fit for women. The men self-opted out, but they all dressed well too, So when we were a force to be reckoned with. When any group of us showed up on any job site, they were like, they're here.
The ladies are here.
They're here, which really was an asset for the company. So think about that. We created our image and the quality of our image. And then that was the representation that these clients saw when we came on site. It's like, that's a pretty slick operation.
I love it. And so I have to say, Bobbie works with people virtually. Like, I had my cell phone. We did a FaceTime. She looked at my clothes. I had them all hanging up in my bathroom on the curtain rod. And she was like, no, yes, no, yes, no. So Bobbie, if somebody wants to get hold of you, if they would love to work with you, if they're ready to step into their own greatness, how would they reach you?
Oh, there's any number of ways, but you can call me. So that's or you can. We'll put the telephone number and contact information there. But I am on Instagram as Fashionably Wealthy by Bobbie. I'm on Facebook 2 different ways as Bobbie Casalino-Lewis, and also as Fashionably Wealthy. I'm on LinkedIn, which I'm having a lot of interaction these days as Bobbie Casalino-Lewis. Lots of men too, which is interesting. So guys, you're on your style too. Everybody's on the rocket ship. And my email is bobbie@fashionablywealthy.com. And it's a really amazing journey you can take. And I just relish the words, and I now kind of put a little mental stopwatch on is how long it's going to take for me to hear, oh my God, I love that together, but I never would have thought of it. So it's very empowering. It's very empowering to use what you have in your closet in a new way, and then buckle onto it some new pieces that take it to the next level. So, it's the reason I call myself Fashionably Wealthy, because when you work with me, you're rich in style, but also whatever you have in your closet, you've already bought and paid for that. That's an asset. And if you're not using all of your assets, then you're wasting, investment and time.
Oh, absolutely. And StreamYard now lets me type chats onto Facebook. So I think I've got your name, your email, and your Instagram on there, because once they get your name down, they can find you.
Absolutely.
Anywhere.
Yes, I have been coached in the past at the beginning of this year, actually not 2021, 2020, to clean up my Google. I didn't even know I had a Google, so I cleaned up my Google.
You cleaned up your Google. Well, thank you for taking time and sharing your stories with us. And to all my followers, take it to heart. Decide what you want, create the dream, see it in your mind's eye, set the intention, and dress for the day you want, dress for the position that you want.
Mm-hmm. Go for it.
All right. Thanks, Bobbie. And I will be talking to you soon.
Oh, for sure.